Welcome to the Complete Story Series, where we take trade paperbacks and single issues and we break them down into digestible bites for you to understand. Then we read it dramatically back to you. All alterations to the panels, text, and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective company. Book 1. Skywalker Stories. It has been a period of renewed hope for the rebellion. The evil Galactic Empire's greatest weapon, the Death Star, has been destroyed by the young rebel pilot, Luke Skywalker. With the Imperial forces in disarray, the rebels look to press their advantage by unleashing a daring offensive throughout the far reaches of space, hoping to defeat the Empire once and for all, and at least restore freedom to the galaxy. Our tale begins with a shuttlecraft flying from Tatooine to Simoon 1. As it touches down in front of the Imperial officer, Han Solo gets out with a smirk on his face. He reaches out to shake the Imperial officer's hand, introducing himself as Han Solo. "I'm sure you've heard of me, been a pilot for Jabba for a lot of years." The officer just replies with, "I'm sure you have, but we don't hear about smugglers unless we're executing them. Now, if you don't mind, we don't allow weapons on the base, so if you wouldn't mind leaving them here." Han looks at his bodyguards, and all three of them leave their weapons at the ship. But I don't think we have to worry, dear listeners, because Chewie is just out of detection range with a sniper rifle overwatching the whole thing. As they enter the building, one of the bodyguards calls in, "We're going in. Everyone hold your positions." And we get the response of, "Thank the Maker. I was half expecting they would kill you while on sight." To which the bodyguard replies with, "3PO, shut up." The Imperial officer leads Han Solo and the bodyguards into the building, into a room where they're going to wait for the negotiator. When suddenly R2 spits a liquid onto the ground and electrocutes it, disabling all of the stormtroopers. The bodyguards then leap on top of the stormtroopers, ensuring their defeat, and everyone removes their masks, revealing Luke and Leia have walked in with Han Solo. The Imperial officers look at the fight happening in front of him and he asks, "What type of envoy are you?" Han replies with, "The rebellious kind. Now, can you tell us which way we need to go?" The officer stares them down. "I am a sworn officer of the Empire, and I will never tell you." But R2 thinks otherwise, as he threatens the officer with a shock. "That way," the officer says, pointing to his left, as Leia punches him across the jaw. Everyone calls in that the plan worked, and they're inside, to which the reply is, "May the Force be with you." They make their way to the central power station so that R2 can shut down all of the safety restraints when Luke feels somebody needing help through the Force. He follows the Force into the basement area where he sees countless caged slaves and a slave master ready to fight. Luke looks at him. "These aren't the slaves that you're looking for." And the slaver looks confused. "What?" It was worth a try, and he pulls out his lightsaber. Obviously, defeating the slaver doesn't take much for him, and he frees the slaves, telling them that if you hate the Empire, follow him. Meanwhile, Han and Leia manage to get the self-destruct mechanism started, and Han calls for Luke to join them, with Luke bringing in a few slaves with him. Everything is going smoothly. And then Leia asks Han, "Why are you helping us? You'll be branded a rebel by the Empire now." And Han just tells her, "Now's not the best time to talk about that." So everyone begins to run back to the docking pad so they can get the heck out of here. Elsewhere, a shuttle lands, and out steps the negotiator, Darth Vader. As soon as he sees Darth Vader get off the shuttle, Chewie opens fire on him, but Darth Vader can sense the shots being fired and he deflects them all, and then he picks up stormtroopers and uses them as a human shield, taking the shots for him. He then looks up and he sees Chewie, and he begins to tear apart the tower that Chewie is positioned in. Chewie leaps out of it just in time, and Darth Vader orders the stormtroopers to begin chasing him. He then feels through the Force that the rebel pilot who destroyed the Death Star is here. Luke, Han, and Leia all flee through the facility as the alarms begin to blare. "Intruders! Intruders!" And they run through the facility looking for an alternate route out of the base, and they end up in a different docking bay with Imperial walkers. Han looks up and he tells everyone, "I've got this. I can drive anything." But Leia looks back behind them and she asks, "Where did Luke go?" Well, Luke felt the Force rumble with the arrival of Darth Vader, and he's decided to go looking for the man who killed Ben Kenobi. As Luke walks up on Darth Vader is confused. "You hold that lightsaber like an untrained child. Who are you?" Luke just angrily looks at him. "You killed my father." "I've killed many fathers. You'll have to be more specific." And with that line, Luke begins his battle with Darth Vader. But at this time, Luke isn't trained, and with a wave of a hand, Darth Vader takes Luke's lightsaber. As Darth Vader prepares to cut Luke in two using his own lightsaber, he stops, and he realizes that this lightsaber once belonged to a man that he knew. When suddenly, before he can get any answers, the foot of an Imperial walker comes crashing through the ceiling. With destruction happening all over, Han warns Luke to steer clear of the walker since it controls like a bantha, and Luke begins to try and rally the slaves. But Darth Vader is still here, and he begins to kill the slaves in front of Luke's eyes. What have I done? Luke asks himself as he watches them all die. Han and Leia call up 3PO and they tell him to rev up the Millennium Falcon engines and get ready for their arrival. But 3PO informs them that the Falcon is a tad bit indisposed right now, and the ship is currently being dismantled by scavengers. If perhaps you or Luke could assist in getting rid of them. But Leia cuts him off. We're trapped in this facility, and if you don't get the ship in the air, we're all going to die. Do whatever you need to. So 3PO walks outside and tells them, I surrender! Inside the facility, Luke is running around dodging lasers that are being fired at him only to find himself pinned down. But he sees one thing that he can gain an advantage with. He is a farm boy who can bullseye womp rats after all, so he hops onto one of the speeder bikes and he begins running over and shooting the stormtroopers while Darth Vader looks on. With Darth Vader staring at Luke, Han takes this opportunity to try and step right on him with the walker, only to have Darth Vader catch and hold the giant foot of the walker in the air. He begins to tear the walker apart piece by piece as Leia yells out, he's using the Force, and Han replies with, that's impossible, there's no such thing as the Force. But Leia just looks back at him, tell that to Vader, as she looks for a way out of this mess. But Han has this covered, and he begins to open fire on Darth Vader using the walker's guns. With the stormtroopers and Darth Vader out of their way for now, Han and Leia walk the walker out the front door and Luke rides out following them on the speeder. All three of them are hoping that 3PO has somehow fixed the Falcon. But he's currently in pieces being carried away by the scavengers. Meanwhile, Darth Vader gets up from the rubble around him and he breaks the stormtrooper's neck that saw his face. He then calls up the Imperial officer telling him that if this facility explodes, he better blow up with it. He will not tolerate this failure. He then calls up every stormtrooper in the area. Kill all the rebels. They must die, but leave the boy for me. Every stormtrooper in the area begins to converge on the battlefield. Even TIE fighters are coming in to try and drop the walker. With explosions going off all around him and lasers whipping by his helmet, Darth Vader just walks menacingly over the battlefield. Meanwhile, Chewie arrives to rescue the pieces of 3PO and begin to attack the scavengers, and he begins to start repairs on the Falcon. While Han deals with a much more pressing situation, the entire Imperial fleet of ground vehicles is currently attacking him. But that's not the worst part. Darth Vader is at the foot of the walker and he's cutting it up with his lightsaber. Han panics, asking what's going on beneath the walker, so Leia looks through a periscope to see Vader down there slicing off the couplings. We can't reach him with the cannons, she yells out. Han looks at Leia and Leia looks at Han as the entire walker crumbles under its own weight and it crashes to the ground. Vader then calls up the troops. Move in for the kill. I have dropped the walker. But Luke comes speeding in to protect his friends as Leia gets an injured Han Solo out of the wreckage. Leia orders Luke to come with her. It's time for them all to get away. But Luke turns to her. This can't all be for nothing. Don't wait for me. And he speeds back off towards the facility. Vader sees all of the rebels escaping, but he sees Luke going back, so he throws a stormtrooper out of his vehicle and he commandeers it. Luke rockets into the facility, just opening fire on the various systems of the building, and as he goes in there, Darth Vader's following him very close behind. As they speed through the facility, Luke strikes the main power core, forcing the self-destruct mechanism to complete, and the entire facility explodes as Luke comes racing out the other side of the facility. A short amount of time passes and Darth Vader rises from the wreckage of the building, just in time to see the Millennium Falcon take off for space, getting away from him. Leia managed to rescue Luke and Han just in time, and all three of them, along with the surviving slaves, are on the ship. Darth Vader looks up into space as the ship leaves the sector and he speaks to himself. The boy was your last great hope, wasn't he, Obi-Wan? He is what you died to protect. He may be strong in the Force, but he is untrained, and who is there left to train him now? No one but me. When I find him, and I will find him, he will be my weapon, not yours. The dark side always wins, Obi-Wan. Meanwhile, on the ship, Leia goes back to check on Luke and ask if he's alright. But he's just sitting there, thinking about what happened. I should be dead, Leia. We all should be dead. Vader was right. I'm no Jedi, and with Ben Kenobi dead, I never will be. And that brings us to the conclusion of the first Star Wars arc, Star Wars 1, 2, and 3. Now, if you enjoyed this, let us know by giving this video a like, subscribing to the channel, and telling us in the comments, because if you guys really do enjoy the Star Wars series, then we will do the other books that include Princess Leia, Darth Vader, the Rebels book, all of that stuff. Right now, we're just gonna focus on the main Star Wars arcs, but, like I said, let us know if you want the other ones. Also, don't forget, we have a Twitter at Comicstorian, and we have a subreddit, r/Comicstorian, where you can get all of our videos immediately after they're posted. Also, we're a part of a YouTube comic book community known as The Weekly Pull. Go check that out at theweeklypull.net. I'm Benny for Comicstorian, and I will see you guys next time at the next Comicstorian video.